So finally, my presentation. Thank you for being here. This is a work I'm doing with Professor Hosanagar, um, and this is on AI and creativity. I'm sure that if you are in this room, I don't need to convince you why creativity is important. So we use creativity like in business context, particularly for ideation, for marketing, for entrepreneurship, for several other outputs. And recently, of course, we have seen these generative AI technologies demonstrating some sort of creativity or emulating some sort of the creativity that we have as humans, such as, like using text to image, system generate digital artworks, and so on and so forth. And part of these works actually have been presented in this conference in the past. So Yet, how to best integrate this generative AI into these creative processes remains poorly understood. This is something that we can just, keep asking AI, generate the ideas. What about how to integrate the ideas that we already have into AI? Should we use AI as a judge or not? So that interaction and that particular integration, it's something that has been explored from different angles. And we see that not far from here in California, we see the Writers Guild of America on strike mentioning several of these claims around concepts such as in economics around complement and replacement, complement or substitution of human creativity by generative AI or its artifacts. For that, the motivation for this project is to analyze this not from the technical perspective, not from the model perspective itself, but from the creativity and the creative process. So how the creativity normally works, and there are several benchmarks to work on that. One of the most commonly shared benchmark is this one from Osborne from the 50s, which is, let's think of creativity as two main broad stages. First stage would be ideation or idea generation, and that's what we call the divergence part. So when we could be asking the LLMs or any model to generate some ideas and complement the ideas that we have. And then we have the convergence part on creativity, which is, now that I have several ideas, how to refine one of those ideas, or how to select out of the set of ideas that I have, the best idea that I can consider for my particular song or project or picture or whatever that I'm designing. And also in life, like, we could have several ideas, but then we need to pick one idea to pursue. So same as in business. So we are analyzing creativity in these two stages: idea generation or divergence, and idea selection in convergence. Using that framework, we have these three research questions that would be, so how this relative contribution of generative AI would affect considering these two aspects of creativity. Should we use generative AI for ideation, for convergence or idea selection, or for both, or for none? So that's the first question. The second question is, like, we have seen some studies that show that there are heterogeneous effects. So, like, more creative individuals should use AI. What happened with the less creative individuals? Are those the individuals that we may help with generative AI tools? And also, since we see this is a technology, a general purpose technology that we believe is not different than other technologies, it's not just something that we can say this is always going to be beneficial. We see some trade-offs, such as reduction in diversity, for instance, and some others. So we want to analyze, like, when creativity is evaluated holistically, so not only the number of ideas, the quality and the diversity of ideas, which trade-offs we see of integrating this technology across these two stages. For that, we're using humor as one sort of creativity, one proxy to measure creativity. We consider that humor has this strategic relevance. It's also used for marketing. It's also used for persuasion, and it gives us this particular setting in which we think that this is not math, this is not something that we believe that, yeah, AI, of course, is just better than us. Humor is still something that, although we can ask some jokes or some creative, humorous content from AI, it's still something that is not outperform humans, and it's like a setting in which we can still consider humans in the loop. And for that, we are emulating the New York caption contest, and I'm going to tell you how this contest works. So basically, this contest provides one image, one cartoon image, and asks participants to create what we call captions, or the text that is just below the image that completes the joke and creates like this creative artifact. I'm going to show you an example of that. So we web scraped more than 2 million captions from the New Yorker caption contest, and have images for around 300 or so of these. So to illustrate exactly how this works, this is the data set. So for this data set, we will have each of the contests would start with an image, and this image is the starting point for a general public to generate jokes about that. So let's say, so this first joke looks like you're very familiar with the side effects. So that's something that a human created to complete the joke on this particular image, and that's what we call captions. And what is interesting is that we have also the voting system, so you can go to the New Yorker caption contest and vote, like, yeah, this particular caption to me this is funny, this is unfunny, or somewhat funny. And that would give us what is the perception from just general public on what is funny and what is not. Using that as a baseline, we create this experimental design in which we say, okay, let's present all this data to the LLM. We are using GPT-4o for this. And let's use some inductive theory to tell the LLM, okay, here you can see thousands of what humans consider good captions, good humor, humorous jokes. And these are other examples in which these are highly voted as unfunny jokes. So let's keep up and try to come up with a difference on that, and try to come up with a guide on explanation on that. And that's what we are using for expert prompting. And the idea of using this expert prompting is that we are providing our participants for our experimental design something that would be like a baseline for both control group and the different collaboration groups that you're going to see. Okay. With that, we are selecting students for around 300 students from a business school. You may wonder which. Most of them MBAs, 61 undergrads, and we randomize these participants for this contest into these 4 groups. So basically, when they arrive to this session on the contest, what we did is like we just tell them, okay, you're going to be assigned into this group, into any of these groups, and these groups, the name of this group is HH, means human ideation and human convergence or human idea selection. So this is the control group. They didn't have any access to AI. And here we have in this factorial design, of course, the group that has AI, that they were creating their ideas by themselves, but using AI for selecting the ideas and so on for the rest. And this group had AI for both the ideation and the convergence of the ideas. We also asked them to take this DAT task, which is a commonly framework to measure individual creativity. So this is a test that when participants arrived to the contest, they took this test. It takes like 2 minutes or so and measures some level of individual creativity on each of the participants. On top of that, we added this artificial group, which is artificial intelligence completely autonomous. So this is AI, just a model, generating the ideas, selecting the ideas on how to compete, and doing all without any human intervention, just for comparing possible substitution effects. So this is exactly how the experimental design worked. So we presented these two stages. Again, this is ideation. So all participants would see a random image, and we have like around 16 or so different images that would be selected at random. We have the image description, easy for copy paste and put it into the chat for those participants that has AI access. And here they were creating as many captions as they could create. And here we told the participants, you would use AI as a tool, so you don't really need to exactly copy paste all the ideas that are coming from AI. Remember, this is a contest. We provided a economic incentive and bragging rights for those classes that were participating in this. So here they could start adding as many captions as they want. They just could hit this button and add a number of those. And once they click next and they couldn't go back, then we measure the assistance of AI for the idea selection. So basically, we as participants, now that you created all these ideas, then you need to select which of those ideas you're going to use for the real contest. So if you created like 10 ideas, now I need you to put them in order, and you would pick only the first 3 that we see in here would be considered from the contest. So here, again, some participants didn't use AI here, only created their own ideas, but here they have expert prompting and access to ChatGPT to select which of those ideas the model believed would be better or not, and they could also override those suggestions from the LLM and just use whatever they had as a common sense or as a belief of what was funny or not. So this is the first experiment, and of course we told participants, do not create jokes about Wharton, or do not create jokes about something that is not general public, because we're going to use prolific participants, the general public, to rate those jokes. And that is the second experiment. So we use prolific participants, around 600 of them. After attention check, we got 500 and something of them. And they saw all these captions several times at random. So they saw the original New Yorker cartoon, and they saw the caption. Of course, they didn't know like which participant or if it is AI or not. So this is at random and anonymous, and they just were rating if they considered this is not funny at all, moderately funny, or extremely funny. And that gives us a sense on the caption quality. So findings. First finding, idea fluency. So this is the number of ideas that were generated using only like the human group with no AI assistance, different levels of human AI collaboration, and AI by itself. Of course, I had to put like a stop on the AI by itself, because otherwise it would create like infinite captions. So I put on a stop with it started to repeat some captions. And on average, what is interesting is that we found this group, we believed it would have the same average number of captions as this human group, because they didn't have AI for idea generation. So why they are having significantly higher number of ideas? So we believe that there are some processes on anticipating using the technology for helping on one of the stages of the creative process that also motivated participants to create more captions. This is first stage. Caption quality. We found that mean results, all sorts of human AI collaboration, increased the average rating for these prolific voters. Still, like we see humans on a control group produce higher quality jokes than AI by itself, but this is only if we compare means, if we compare just on average how these groups are performing. What is interesting is that we are also trying to simulate what happened if each of those 16 images were real contests, which would be the best jokes, best rated voted jokes on those. And we find that AI is comparable, AI by itself is comparable to our control group. And we see that significantly the participants, like in here, that are using AI for both ideation and idea selection, they were also outperforming like twice the representation of the other groups. So that's the distribution on the top quality ideas. We have this trade-off on diversity, as I was mentioning. So this is not all good news. When we provide AI, specifically for ideation, we see a decrease around 10% of diversity of ideas, and this is semantic diversity. So this is human group and this form of collaboration, since they don't have AI for idea generation, they kept the same level of diversity. But once we add some AI for the ideation, we see that decreasing. And of course, AI by itself is producing the same joke every time, or less diverse joke. And we have these heterogeneous effects, which are, this is the prediction that we get, like as much creative our participants are, they are getting less and less benefits of AI. So here we're comparing the group with the most AI interaction and the control group. And significantly, we see that the more creative our participants are at the beginning of the experiment, the better jokes they created. So that translates into the joke quality, the humor quality. But this is a negative slope on this AI interaction. And that means that AI may hurt already creative individuals. As more creative they are, most likely these AI suggestions are decreasing their performance on average. So it won't be like recommended for these individuals in this stage. And we found some distributional effects. So this is not only heterogeneous effects on the X or in the covariates from participants, but also on the Y, on the outcome of using AI or not. And what we found interesting is that these particular two groups, these collaboration effects, when we use AI only for one stage, would prevent those participants to create bad jokes, so the jokes that are in the lower quantiles. And we see that using AI for both would have potential benefit to avoid bad jokes, but also to increase good jokes on average here. So the conclusions and the implications of this job is that we really need to consider using AI for creative processes, if we consider like for both stages or not. And it is important to, it depends on when, how, and by whom AI is used. So we are looking this with this process-centric lens on exactly, again, like what is the ideal collaboration, and that ideal collaboration depends on the stage and also depends on the heterogeneous effects or the previous conditions for participants, and can be also motivated by specifically by the goal that we have. If we have a goal that depends on diversity, so we better use AI for convergence and not for ideation and so on. So key implication, AI should be treated as a flexible collaborator and not like a general purpose tool, at least for creativity. And that's it on my end.
Thank you. Very interesting talk. I was wondering, did you take into consideration the temperature settings of the GPT models? Because
we use a single default temperature. Yes, so technically it's yes interesting. We can measure, let's say, higher temperature may create more diverse results. Here, what we're trying to, I mean, for the sake of the study and to put it into a process lens, we didn't want to go into all the configurations from the models, because at the end we're fixing one dimension in which we can see the other dimensions moving. But yeah, that's a
an extension it might be interesting to look at.
That's interesting for
human beings.
Yeah, very good idea. Thank you.
And just to follow up on that, because all the the OpenAI models developed by different countries have different political and society. Because we're looking at humor is deeply embedded.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you were to continue your study, incorporate culture, how would you approach?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's why we provided this initial setup in which we say, okay, this is what is considered funny for the New Yorker caption contest. But I'm pretty sure that New Yorker humor will be different than humor here in San Francisco, even, and that will be also different for other countries. So yeah, we're providing like this setting on this particular context, and that's why we provided this prompting at the beginning. But yeah, totally, it can change on different other contexts. And getting the time is up, so thank you so much. We are getting some time for lunch, and we are resuming at 1:40 for the sessions on same this room and the other. So thank you so much.